Hi, good afternoon. Hi, this is Christine Crow here, and welcome to my channel. And today I want to talk about the sponsorship, the immigration statuses and things like that, because it's quite high in the news right now. And as a coach, a business coach that specializes in healthcare, I really feel it's something that I need to talk about because I know that there's a lot of employers that are affected by it, as well as the candidates that have applied to get their visa and they've spent, say, 10,000, 20,000 pounds, for example, to come over to get a job, and they haven't been given a job. And there's so many different people that's been affected by this. People are going to the candidates that have been given the visa, for example. They come over to the UK, they're waiting to get work, they're not getting any work whatsoever. We should not be getting them over here if we don't have work for them, i.e. a contract that there's work for them to go to. Look, I've been there. I've had people that I've recruited from Poland, for example, many years ago in the early 2000s, for example, and I had work because I had lots of contracts. I had loads of contracts for them. So I recruited people from Poland, for example, because they worked really hard. They worked really hard. They was compassionate. They were caring. They wanted to do a really good job as well. And also the clients got on well with them as well. And this wasn't about me paying them less, because they would be paid the same as the other carers. But what I noticed is that they were committed. They wanted to do those hours, full-time work, because they had to send money over to their family, their loved ones, for example. Back then, it wasn't a visa with where they could bring their dependents, for example. That was something that they were working towards, for example. But now the government has opened this up where the skilled worker can be sponsored, and they can bring their dependents as well, which is wonderful, wonderful news. Nothing worse than, seeing your team members, your staff members, and they're missing their loved ones because they can't see them for 3 or 4 months, for example. And it's nice that the government has now allowed that to happen. But there's also this aspect of where people are paid for fees to pass the basic standards, for example, English, certain tests that they have to have done, that they can actually now be refunded because legally there wasn't a law to say that this must be deducted or taken from their money, for example. Look, people have had to sell their houses. People have sold things to come over to the UK for a better life, but they've come over and they've got no work, for example, and they're going to the food bank to get food. Now, I'll tell you the story about my father. He set up the food pantry in the States, in the United States, which is like the food bank many years ago. And, you wouldn't imagine that it would be used for that purpose, and it really saddens me that, some of the candidates have had to go to the food bank to get food because they don't have any work, they don't have any money, but yet they've come over and they've paid you £10,000 or so, for example, and they've got no work. Some of them are homeless. And I know that this seems, you know, a bit of a sad, it's not a sad story, it's the fact. It's very, very demoralizing for them, you know, to come over here to be saying, yes, you know, we'll give you work, for example, and there's no work, for example. And it saddens me that that's happened, that people are feeling vulnerable, or they're coming over and they can't do the full-time hours, and they're only able to do, you know, part-time hours, but then they've still got their rent to pay, they've still got their bills to pay. England's expensive, let's face it. London is expensive. And, you know, I just wanted to do this quick video just to say, look, employers, look at who you're going to be employing, for example, and make sure that you do have the work for them, and don't charge them. Don't charge them. Bring them over. I didn't charge my team members when they came from Poland. I didn't say, you must give me £3,000 or £10,000 or whatever. I didn't charge them because I needed them to help me to do the work, to cover the work. I also provided them with accommodation as well. And yes, I did charge for the accommodation, but it was very, very small. And I fed them as well. You know, I wanted them to feel like they were part of a family, because they've come from their own homes. They've left their family, so they need to come to you, and they need you to treat them like their auntie, uncle, mother, brother, sister, for example, cousin. They need that. Otherwise, they're even more vulnerable. You know, and I've been looking at these news stories. I'm reading about it, that people are homeless, they're going through a lot, but yet they're embarrassed to say something because they don't want to get sent back. You know, they're going looking for jobs, you know, in the care homes, looking for jobs, or whoever can give them a job. But the owners of the business, they've got to check to make sure that they have the legal right to employ them. Otherwise, they can get into trouble. So there's a lot of changes happening, and look for what other jobs that you can get as a sponsor. But you want to make sure, what I would do if I was you and I was going through sponsorship, I would go to the NHS. I would go to the NHS for a sponsorship visa. If I was a nurse or a skilled worker, healthcare worker, for example, there's lots of other vacancies besides healthcare worker. There's recruitment. They need recruitment consultants, for example. I'm going to go about that in my live video. This battery is going to run out soon, so I hope it doesn't run out before. I might need to plug it in. Hopefully it won't run out. But there's so many other jobs that you can apply for as a visa. You can apply for different positions. There's even hotels, they need workers as well. They've got sponsorship as well. So don't just think healthcare, think about what jobs, if you need to get out, and I understand some of you need to get out from, you know, Nigeria, for example, or even the Philippines or Asia, for example, because you want a better life for you and your family. And I totally understand that, because my parents did that, you know, when they moved from Jamaica, for example, for a better life. And like my mother, when she was in the UK, she said, right, we're going to move to America, better life. You know, I understand that. But look at what other jobs that you can get with the NHS, because they are your safest bet. And I'm not putting off any care agencies here. I'm not putting off any care homes, for example, but your best bet is to look at what jobs are available in the NHS. And I know some of you have got some amazing qualifications, but you can look at what other things you can do that is going to complement what you are experienced at, and then look for those jobs that are sponsorships with the NHS. And even if you have to apply 100 times, do it. Don't just apply once and that's it. So join me for tonight's live. I'm going to be going live 7 p.m. UK time, for example, and I'm going to talk more about the job roles, like, for example, the recruitment coordinator, for example. But there's lots of other job vacancies within the NHS that you can look at applying for. So I hope that that was helpful. I know it was quick and fast, but I just needed to jump in because I'm seeing the news and I'm hearing all of these things. And, the government is now saying, hey, there's people that need to be paid back for the fees that they've paid for, learning a language skill assessment, for example, the additional costs that they've had to pay on top of paying someone to get them to come to the UK. And some of them have had people come over and there's no job for them. Yes, there's a job offer, but where was the work that they were going to do? And providers, please don't do this because you're going to get into trouble, serious trouble, okay? And I just want you to be fair, but also to those that are looking for a position, for a job, then you can look at being being sponsored by the NHS, because you'll be a lot safer then, because that's your best bet. So I hope that was helpful to you. If you've enjoyed this video about what I've said, I'm going to be doing a lot more about sponsorship. I'm going to be doing a lot more about what positions that you as the provider can offer to your candidates if you are doing sponsorship, because there's a lot of different ways that you can get work, but don't charge them because it will backfire on you. Okay, so you can be looking, as the provider, looking at providing permanent staff members to the NHS. That is the key pivot, because yes, they're changing. They want to try and reduce agency spend. They've been saying this for donkey's years. It's been going on for a long time, but now they're pushing it more with this sponsorship that's coming over, but you don't want it to be saturated. So you join them, i.e. you provide the permanent staff members to the NHS, to the care homes, so that you're then charging 10, 15%, 20% on their yearly salary as a one-off payment. That is a better deal than you charging someone who is looking to come to the UK that's vulnerable. You're charging them 10 grand. Why not get it from the NHS, from the commission that you could get with supplying those staff members? I hope that was helpful to you. Do like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. Join me for further training. This is really important. This is the reason why I've jumped in here today to say this. But I hope you can join me at 7 p.m. UK time for the CEO Challenge. We're on day 26 and it's going to be amazing. I hope that you can join me. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful, blessed day, everyone. Take care. Thank you. Be safe, and I will see you on the internet. Thank you. Bye.